So we see as China started to grow, and it was through these banks which it created, through these regional banks which it created with other countries. It was helping build infrastructure in other countries. But while the other countries were benefiting, it was also in a way that it was benefiting China also. And as we talked about, it's not just simply about creating these, pathways for trade to flow, but it was also an awful lot to do with the China's tremendous explosive growth in the construction industry and engineering industry. And as China starts to reach full capacity, I mean, there is not that many more of wealth, not that many more projects to be done, and there are less projects in China, right? Just less room to build in China. What is China going to do with all these new construction companies and all the engineering companies that were created uh, to create infrastructure within China? Well, it exports this now. Now China is the one that is building train tracks. China is the one that is building dams. They give money to a country, let's say Burma, say, yeah, you guys want to build a new dam? Sure, we will lend you some money to do that. However, the condition is, if you do this, if we lend you money, you are going to have to contract the services of a Chinese company, and then that helps China, right? The money comes back to China. This is an awful lot like, where did trying to learn this tricky business from? Well, there is a country called United States of America, because that's essentially what the United States did in the Marshall Plan. You may understand the Marshall Plan as the US giving a lot of free money to European countries, and that's true. It's it it were very it was very, sometimes the interest rates were so um, low that the money was given freely. Did it help out the US? Absolutely, because those countries were largely had their infrastructure destroyed at the beginning, at the first. Where did they find the engineering know how? Where did they get the heavy machinery to rebuild? Was the money that the US lent it. Those countries in the Western Europe brought from the US company. So it really was an injection of money, the Marshall Plan, not just in those European countries, but right back into American businesses. And the Chinese are doing exactly the same thing now. I mean, they are doing the exact same thing. Now, in closing, Chin says, "Is this a problem? Is this a challenge to US? Is this trying to displace the US? To a degree, yes, right? It's a challenge, especially right now. Oh, sorry. Mm, especially right now when we with the US kind of pulling out of uh, mm, global institutions, global trade, and not wanting to um, be a global trade leader anymore, it opens up the door for China. But the author says, listen, this just doesn't have to be characterized as something where they are moving into a void where the US is living. But it opens up a realm for China to become a more proactive partner in Central Asia, where the US already has fairly strong presence, where maybe China can partner with the US to combat terrorism, to work together to get certain countries there who are trying to get nuclear weapons from getting those nuclear weapons, to stop nuclear proliferation. Maybe there can be a cooperation together, like I said, terrorism or an energy, like, right? Some of those energy lines will benefit the US as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to be win or lose situation where China wins and US loses. But but the US has to be aware of this situation. It has to honor and recognize China, not belittle China. And again, at the moment, US is not really on a charm offensive with China, and and that's there is a big chance that China will turn away from the US, not want to partner with the US. And Chin is saying no. As China expands, the US should try to get on the ground floor and be part of this institution that might be China led, but US going to have a huge role in those as well. And that, in closing, tells us the story about how China, which was once quite separate from the global economy, has become a part of the global economy. And indeed, rather than just becoming a part of it, accepting the institutions that are already in place there, like the IMF or the World Bank, China has already taken an extra step to start to try to start and try to shape the global economy along the lines of China's own vision for the global economy.